My name is Charmaine Abdul Karim.
Lisa Smith.
Karina Eastwood. Location-wise, I'm all over the place at the minute, but I'm normally based in London.
My maiden name is Smith. I come from Cheshire and I am 41.
I'm currently based in Berlin, but I'm also a youth editor for a magazine called Travellers Times. We're a national magazine for gypsies and travellers, and we have like a biannual magazine and a website that we update regularly.
I think an important part of being Romany for me is that it gives me a sense of identity. Growing up, it gave me a sense of home, really, and that I think, like any other ethnic minority, when you're with other gypsy people, Romany gypsy people that is, it gives you a sense of community, a sense of belonging.
Any community that's experienced so much racism, discrimination, this is like the fight or flight mode, isn't it? We know that we're safe if we're in our own communities, and it's when we step out of our own communities or put our heads above the parapet, I suppose, as it is, that's when you're going to be more open to abuse and stuff.
We were never taught you're different than other people. Everybody was the same to us. And then when we went to school, the gorgeous people that we went to school with, they made you feel that you were different.
In that time, there was this like activity where you sat around the table, like, draw your home, children. It was during, at this time, I'd never even lived in a house. I hadn't never, and there was like people drawing boxes of squares, rectangles, like, what are they drawing? And like, oh yeah, of course, it's a house. Like the children were being praised for the houses. And I thought, I'll just draw squares then, because I'm the only person on this table with wheels on. There must be something wrong with mine. And I just remember that even though the teacher working with us sat on the table, knew I was a traveller, knew where I lived because it was so close to school, she didn't question it. She just said, oh, well done, that's beautiful, Lisa.
I hated going to school, hated it. I mean, my stomach would literally turn as soon as I could actually see the school inside. My stomach would turn, and I used to beg my mum and dad to keep me off. Please don't send me to school. Please don't send me to school. I hated it. We were terrorised by the gorgeous children at the school, and the teachers did nothing. The teachers did absolutely nothing about it.
And the thing is, like with anyone who experiences racism, you know it when you see it, you know it when you feel it, but often it's hard to like prove and quantify, like, so it's it is a risk to tell people in every walk of life, to tell people that you're a traveller.
So then the penny drops, and then you realise, oh my God, I'm part of a different community. And my mum and dad always taught us, never deny what you are, always be proud of who you are and where you come from and your culture and your history and everything that goes along with being a gypsy person. But also, because of what gorgeous people made you feel about yourself, then you realise, hang on a minute, I'm not the same as them.
And you talk about the racism and my experience of it. There's been lots of experience of explicit racism that I've experienced in my lifetime, in my childhood, etc.
But I remember my mum washing the white school shirts, because she always had this thing in her head, you have to be dressed better than the gorgeous, because they expect you to be dirty, they expect you to be unwell presented. So there was always this thing growing up that I had in my mind, that you had to always be extra, you always had to try harder, you always had to be better, because the bar is just set so low for you.
Sitting in pubs and hearing people talk in derogatory ways about travellers to my face, not knowing that they're talking about me, overhearing stuff, experiencing stuff, and also, you know, having to book the venue for my father's wake in my husband's name. He's not a traveller.
Quite nice houses, aren't they?
And booking it in his name because I knew that they would shut the pub or cancel the event last minute. You know, potentially if I booked it in my family name, because Eastwood's a traveller name and he's known as one in this area. So
persecution to our people will last forever if we do not start taking a stand and explain to people that their misconceptions and their racism and their badly thought out ways and what they think their stereotypes of us is wrong.
I mean, we're either criminals or clowns, you know. I mean, I made the short film that I did just as completely as an antidote to Big Fat Gypsy Wedding, and you know, even the use of the term gypsy in that context feels wrong to me. You know, I don't think people that aren't Romany should be using the word gypsy, but
you had the thing of gypsy in the title, but it wasn't. I didn't see, maybe one or two Romany gypsy people on there, but it wasn't about gypsy people, it was about travelling people. And that frustrates me.
But not just that, Romany women have always worked. We've been the backbone of like Romany tradition and culture, whether or not we acknowledge that or not. You know, we're the child bearers, we're the ones who advance the population. But this fantasy that My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding kind of created, where it was like women didn't work, you know, women just didn't do that. But that couldn't be any further from the truth.
I want to change things. Things have got to change. I think it's enough is enough, and I think that ours is the last acceptable form of racism, and that is shocking.
My name's Lois, but I usually go by Lolo. It's my family name. Also means red in Romany. I'm from like North Shropshire, so I'm down here at the moment in the Midlands with my parents in their gaff.
My full name is Marley Parsons, and I'm 20 years old, and I'm from Norwich in Norfolk.
So I'm usually volunteering with Pirina Mensa in Budapest, but it's been a bit on hold because of COVID. Dad's a Gorgia, Mum's Romany, so that's kind of my life. And I'm a co-founder of the Diclo Collective, which provides free parcels of cultural items to Romany and traveller people globally. I'm also a co-founder of Traveller Pride, which is a LGBT GRT, so Gypsy Roma Traveller campaign group. And we brought the first representation of LGBT travellers to London Pride in 2019.
I am studying textiles with business studies at Brighton University, and it's a 4-year-long course.
It's quite a niche topic, but I noticed that there's this particular trend on TikTok at the moment of the bimbo, himbo and bembo aesthetic, which is essentially kind of rejuvenating the bimbo aesthetic as a character to go against patriarchy and slut shaming. What I don't like is that you have these girls, these Gorgia girls, who can amass huge followings for pretending not to be able to read, wearing velour tracksuits, having their hair up in rollers, pretending that they're not formally educated, when it's like Romany and traveller women are slated on a regular basis for inhibiting those things. We're rejected from shops for inhibiting those things because it's assigned to traveller people, and illiteracy is a very real issue. And I don't think it should be tied to this kind of character of not being smart.
But I feel like with Romany culture and people perhaps making similar decisions, such as changing their name, like me, back to their heritage and their culture, gets completely dismissed. And it's quite infuriating because it shouldn't be like that. And it's really unfair.
I'm just saying that, like, when Gorgeous come to me and say, oh, well, I don't like the traveller community because I'm left-wing and you guys are awful. And it's like, well, you've had the ability to progress because you haven't been systematically targeted.
If you were Prime Minister for a day, without any repercussions, what would you do?
I'd like to see tougher enforcement against gypsy travellers.
We aren't a monolith in our opinions. I think people think that gypsies and travellers aren't individuals, that we're this like cult community that are like almost cartoon characters. And it's like we're all individuals that have our own individual thoughts and emotions. We don't, you know, no one's queen or king of the gypsies. Do you know what I mean?
People that are on settled sites, like my family. There's people that assume that they're there illegally. My nan's lived there for years and years and years and years, and there's just such a lack of education for people need to live, essentially. Sorry, I don't know what my brain just went then. People need to live. People need places to live, but then when they're trying to gain that and trying to do it legally, they have everything put in front of them to stop them from doing it.
I feel like our Romany culture has been so pushed to one side for so many generations. I myself, as a person from the Romany community, have no idea how I could help my own community, and I think that's really sad.